In this edition of All Hands Television, we meet the 2010 Sailors of the Year, look at the Armed Services Blood Program, and find out how some Navy inmates spend their time. Here's your host, Petty Officer Mark Schultz.
Welcome to All Hands Television. We begin our program with a special group of hard chargers that only make it to the top with the support of those around them. Petty Officer Andrew Breeze brings us this look at the 2010 Sailors of the Year.
My first impressions of the Navy, I have a rich history of military heritage in my family. I grew up listening to stories from my father who was in Vietnam. I have uncles that were Marines. All the stories that my grandfather had told me, just everything, I could just see it.
Learning what the Navy is, where it came from, its roots, being out to sea. I think that set me up for success.
When you put this uniform on every day, I mean, it means something. It's a good job, there's a good reason to do it, and, you know, people appreciate your service.
You know, you're proud about where you've been, what you've done, you know, and even today you still look down and say, wow, I was there.
You know, I want to be the guy that people come to for answers and need help.
I mean, if you're gonna stay and do this, you want to be in a position where you can make a difference.
Now I look at the Navy as something that I can be part of this team that does these incredible things.
And nobody got here by themselves, plain and simple. You know, their mentorship is vital. And all these sailors are into the same thing, taking care of their people, taking care of their chain of commands. We're all the same team.
When I came in the Navy, we were wearing dungarees.
Yeah, that's a unique fitting uniform.
Then they got rid of those, the garrison covers and the Dixie covers, and we went to command ball caps. Then they got rid of the dungarees totally and put us on those gas man looking uniforms, which I hated. Whites and blues went away, service uniform, PT uniform.
From wearing pea coats to wearing your whites, blues, also your utilities.
Now we're in NWUs.
My first induction in the Navy, I wore coveralls all the time.
So uniforms in 17 years, and now, you know, of course, when you make chief, now it's, you know, a whole new sea bag that they give you.
Making the transition from blues to khakis is an honor. It's an exciting time in my career.
The first day I show up to work and I'm wearing khakis, it'd be one of the most scariest moments of my career. Because I have a large, long, proud legacy to live up to as a Chief Petty Officer.
It's truly an honor just to know that people supported me. And you're always told, you know, you did the hard work, they just helped you out. You know, they push it along. It's truly amazing. You know, I really don't know what it's going to feel like in maybe a few days.
I think just putting on khakis is something, like I said, every enlisted sailor is like, oh, wow, I finally got here. But as far as to not have to change anymore, change is good. Mm-hmm. You know, there's nothing wrong with change.
You read about this every year. It's almost like those sailors aren't real. You never see that. You always see them in magazines. You never think you're going to be in the seat. I want to do whatever I can to help someone else get in this position, because there are no words that I can say to describe it. You have to be here, feel it, and see it.
To be selected as Sailor of the Year, I mean, it's truly an extraordinary, milestone in everybody's career. But it takes a lot of work. It's a deep responsibility within, to do the right things and keep challenging yourself. So, being here today, it's truly amazing.
I never imagined that I would be selected as Sailor of the Year. This has been the most awesome, humbling, just extraordinary experience. And I just think, if you work hard every day, cool things will happen.
Me today, I've never been able to do anything by myself. It's been the people around me, the sailors and civilians in the Navy that have gotten me to where I'm at today. And my only wish is that I will be able to pay that back to them and to give back to the Navy what it's given me.
Those new Chief Petty Officers are ready to get back to the fleet and share what they've learned. The crew of USS Nimitz is in dry dock right now for a scheduled maintenance period. The media department is creating a docu-series about the yard time and much of what Nimitz sailors are doing.
For months, the crew has been preparing for Nimitz's dry dock period in Bremerton. Many sailors have already moved their families here. Those without families have moved all of their personal belongings.
Parade rest.
As U.S. warships enter or leave ports, their crews man the rails. Sailors stand at parade rest, rendering honors to the host city. With the crew manning the rails, the challenge of making it through the Puget Sound begins.
All right, so here we are, we're pulling into Bremerton. We just came through Rich Passage, which is one of the most challenging navigation areas you can put a carrier through.
Pulled into Bremerton, Washington, and we've got this large crowd of people ready to welcome us. You know, it was a long 3 days, I'm not gonna lie, but it was definitely worth it.
One of his siblings waiting for him today too. His grandpa from Montana is actually here too, waiting for him. I think he's down at the other gangplank, hoping that maybe he'll come down that way.
With family members and friends waiting on the pier, the crew's work is not yet complete. The crew must now move equipment off of the ship and onto a barge. Essential items such as food, lodging, and medical supplies are moved first. At the ship's arrival in port, many of the crew scramble to grab their personal belongings before departing the ship. This can be a troublesome task in such tight quarters. Seaman Ian Kowalczyk is moving out of a space he's shared with 45 other sailors.
I love the Navy, love the environment. I just, living in a berthing is not fun, you know. Wake up in the middle of the night, hit your head on the light and stuff. And it's rough sometimes, you know. Working 18-hour days sometimes, you know. Getting 4 hours of sleep a night. You know, planes launching off in the middle of the night and whatnot. And now I can just go to my barracks after work and maybe take a nap, you know, watch TV. I can even cook food if I want to. It's a lot to be thankful for. I'm pretty much used to this lifestyle. I like it. You know, you never get tired of the same place for too long. You know, you get to meet a lot of good people. I think it'll work out. You know, we get to be here for another year fixing the ship. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be good living here. I think I got a lot to look forward to.
After most of the crew moves off of the ship, the process of moving vehicles begins. As part of the move to Bremerton, 393 personal vehicles were transported on board the ship and must now be offloaded. The process will take approximately 9 hours. As the sun sets, sailors wait for rides to take them to their new barracks. Seaman Kowalczyk waits for the bus.
You know what time it comes by?
No, I have no idea.
I thought they had a schedule.
As the base settles in for the night, Seaman Kowalczyk's bus finally arrives.
Today, just everybody's happy, everybody's excited, everybody's like, yeah, man, I'm going to my barracks, you know, I don't have to live in the berthing anymore. Oh, man. Wow. This is nice.
For many sailors, the barracks will become their new home. More spacious than the cramped living quarters aboard the ship, the sailors will get to enjoy more luxuries than they're used to.
You saw the ship. I mean, we live with 70 people in a room, in a single room. You know, that's stressful. I don't even know what to say. You know, I have a refrigerator right here. I got a stove. You know, I can cook now. My own washer and dryer, for God's sake. You know, I'm used to going to the Liberty Center across the pier and washing my clothes. It's things like that that make you appreciate this so much more. I mean, even if I didn't have all this stuff in here, I'd still be thankful because it's a lot better than living on the ship.
You can watch the entire episode of Dry Dock on the Nimitz Facebook page. We'll be right back.
In the June issue of All Hands Magazine, we go to the Arctic with USS New Hampshire SSN 778 for ISEX. And in Maine, sailors learn to survive, evade, resist, and escape at SEER School. In Charleston, South Carolina, at the Navy Bridge, prisoners are training dogs for wounded military personnel. It's in the June issue of All Hands Magazine. Online or at your fingertips, it's All Hands Magazine.
While prepared for global conflicts, America's Navy faces other threats to security at sea. These include terrorism, piracy, drug and weapons trafficking. Maritime security remains one of our Navy's core capabilities and an important cornerstone of our maritime strategy. Our maritime force, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard work to maintain security at sea, enhancing global stability for the benefit of all nations.
The Armed Services Blood Program collects blood from healthy service members and sends it to wounded warriors in need. Petty Officer Brett Cody shows us how the program works and why it's important to the military.
Somewhere in Afghanistan, an explosion hits a Humvee. A Marine is badly in need of blood, and the Armed Services Blood Program has been working hard to get that blood to him through a worldwide network of distribution and collection centers. At the heart of that network are the people who donate blood and the people who make it their daily mission to collect it.
This unit is called a mobile blood team. We average about 2 to 4 blood drives a week.
So we go from anywhere from Southern PA, all over Maryland, DC metro area, down to Northern Virginia.
This is not a 9-to-5 job. It is a 12 to 12 job.
We go wherever they'll have us, and whatever hours they're available, that's the hours that we do. So, I mean, if it's a place that's 2 hours away and they're only available at 7 a.m., then we get up at 4 a.m. and drive out there.
Give the ball 3 squeezes, hold your last squeeze. My name is Isata Gadsden, and I'm a phlebotomist for the Armed Services Blood Program. The Armed Services Blood Program is different because the units that we collect go to the military and their dependents. We actually have Air Force and Navy working with us. We used to have some Army, so it's all branches of the military. And we also have contractors and GS workers too.
I'm Staff Sergeant Daniel Ingalls, and I'm a medical lab technician. I've been working with the Armed Services Blood Program for about 1.5 years. I would say we collect about 60 to 100 units a week. Unit is about a pint of whole blood, which we split that into 2 different products. We split it into red blood cells and plasma. So at least 2 patients are being helped with every unit we collect. We do work more than, your average like shore duty, to use the Navy term. But we're not working harder than the guys in Afghanistan, so I can't complain too much.
All right, make sure you keep this on for about 4 hours, okay? My work is not hard. I actually enjoy doing it, and it is repetitive.
So 4 hours for this wrap. No smoking for the next 30 minutes.
No smoking for the next half an hour. No alcoholic beverages.
Alcoholic beverages for at least 20.
No heavy lifting for the next 6 hours.
We want to refrain from any strenuous activity.
I do not do any strenuous exercise for 24 hours. Okay.
But just knowing where the blood is going at the end of the day, that keeps us focused on basically providing the safest product for the recipient. So
I don't think I've ever had a job within the the Air Force in such direct connection with the wars going on. Before I was just working in a hospital, which was that's good too. But this one, every week we send a weekly quota pretty much straight over to Iraq and Afghanistan. So it feels like I'm contributing more to that than I was before.
To reach that weekly quota, the Bethesda mobile team relies on partners at the blood drive sites to spread the word and bring out donors.
they're the ones that advertise and get the donors to come out and donate. It takes a lot of people and a lot of time to drive out to different sites, so we want to make sure we have a good turnout.
A blood drive only works if people are willing to put aside a small part of their day to show up to donate. One location that always has a good turnout is the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland.
My name is Parker Bailey, and I'm a fourth-class midshipman at the United States Naval Academy. I donate blood every chance I can, because here at the Academy, there's not too much I can do to aid the front line at all. So this blood is going to people who are fighting, trying to make our country what it is, and one day I could be in their shoes, and I'll be depending on this same blood to just try to keep the supply going. Thank you. A kind of pay it forward deal. You're in a position where you can be on a bed one day depending on someone else's blood, and what if that person just didn't feel like going out and donating that day, and that might cost you your life. Just by me giving a pint of blood saves one or maybe two people's lives, and my schedule isn't as important as someone else's life.
A donation is able to help 2 or more lives, partly because it's separated into red blood cells, which are used for transfusions, and plasma, which is used to bring nutrients and clotting factors to burn victims and other patients. Whole blood and plasma have a longer shelf life, depending on what temperature they're kept at. But there's another component to blood that has a much shorter lifespan. Blood platelets will only last for 5 days, and they require periodic donors.
Platelets simply form the scabs that stop you from bleeding. It's extremely important for us to have regular donors that we can rely on to collect throughout the weeks. Platelets only have a shelf life of 5 days, so it's very important for us to have a steady stream of donors coming in to donate on a consistent basis.
One of those regular donors is Major Johnny Perez, an Army program analyst stationed at the Pentagon.
I've been donating platelets with the ASBP for the last almost 3 years. I was a little apprehensive at first because when they explained to me that the blood goes through a machine, filters the platelets out, and then puts the blood back in you, I was like, wow, that sounds like a complicated process, but it's not that bad.
At the end of a typical hour-and-a-half long procedure, we're left with one viable platelet product. This product can be given to cancer patients whose chemotherapy treatments have depleted their own natural platelet count, as well as being used in trauma situations. In trauma situations, it's important to have platelets to form those clots and stop that patient from bleeding out.
When I was in Iraq, I lost 2 soldiers while I was a company commander, and I've been wanting to give something back for them, but I hadn't found the mechanism or vessel to do that. I chose the ASBP because I know it directly supports soldiers and families that are in need.
When you donate through the ASBP, you know that your blood or platelets or whatever it is you're donating is going from you and directly back to one of your fellow service members.
If you're physically capable of giving platelets, I highly recommend that you do that. It's an hour and a half up to 2 hours of your life that can help a human being live.
Whether it's platelets or whole blood, it's the regular donors who are helping the Armed Services Blood Program ensure a steady blood supply for the DoD family all over the world. For All Hands Television, I'm Petty Officer Mikkel Smith.
When we come back, we'll take a look at a rehabilitation program that helps everyone involved. Don't go away.
Think you're indestructible? Think again.
The Navy Brig in Charleston, South Carolina partners with the Carolina Canines to help inmates and wounded warriors. Petty Officer Shannon Renfro has the story.
This isn't your ordinary dog park. This small courtyard sits behind maximum security walls of the Navy Consolidated Brig in Charleston, South Carolina. Prisoners work one-on-one with dogs from a shelter to become service dogs for a wounded veteran.
Here's what we call the triple win. You know, the dogs come from the shelters, the prisoners benefit because they have the opportunity to train service dogs, and then finally the wounded warrior gets the final product. And so everybody wins.
Carolina Canines begins at local shelters in the South Carolina area.
We have to have our dogs of a certain temperament, a certain ability to work around people and with people. So we look for certain characteristics.
Many wait in cages for months and don't respond to or even acknowledge commands given. It's a good day once Carolina Canines know they've stumbled upon a diamond in the rough.
Yes, good fit, good fit. All right, yoo-hoo, you know.
Each dog selected has a 7 to 10 month journey ahead of them. Their new home, a concrete cell, is where they will train alongside the prisoners 24 hours a day.
The other thing for them in confinement is that because this is such a big commitment, they're companions with these dogs 24/7. It teaches them good responsibility, prepares them well for that type of responsibility and commitment on the outside.
The program grants some of the prisoners a sense of redemption.
We're the same as anybody else. It's just somewhere along the line we screwed up, and we all know that. But doing this program is a way for us to start giving back for what we did.
And for others, hope.
It's a start. It doesn't make up for what we've done to put ourselves here, but it's a step in the right direction.
These one-of-a-kind dogs help heal almost everyone they come into contact with.
It's helped keep me calm, just having the dogs around, you can touch them because that's one of the big things about being locked up. You don't get any contact with other people or anything like that.
The dogs go through intensive training. They learn to retrieve objects for their owner like water bottles and dirty laundry. The dogs learn to pull a clothes hamper to their owner and put laundry in a washer. Even wake you up in the morning. Long-distance laser training is also part of the curriculum. An agility course helps the dogs with balance and maneuvering in tight spaces. This will soon translate when the veteran is on a plane and the dog needs to remain close by in between the seats. There's a fine balance between the dog and the handler during training. Teaching the once unruly dogs can be frustrating, but the handlers are told to remember,
it's not the dog that's doing it wrong, it's the handler. You just try a different approach and eventually you'll find the way to have the dog do what you're asking him to do.
Yes, good Lord.
The prisoners see the result of their hard work when they hand the dog's leash to the wounded veteran.
I was surprised. I didn't think they could take a dog and do as much as what they said they could do until you could see it like on TV, but until you're actually there, actually with your own eyes seeing it done, you would be very surprised.
The countless ways these furry companions assist are unique to every recipient.
I got PTSD real bad, and people staring and close environments and everything. I know I got him an actual living physical thing I can grab onto, and they're more focused on him, which I'm so glad.
It might sound kind of weird, but like when she's snoring, it kind of brings that like white noise in the background. I have tinnitus, and the loud ringing that I hear at night just kind of like drives me crazy, and like hearing her snore is better than having something on TV.
He'll get up on my lap, so I can put all his stuff on, and hop back down. He'll sit by the door until you're ready, and I think he knows he's part of the family now.
You know, sometimes there's nothing more important than family. Well, that's it for this month's show. Join us next month as we take you to the snowy wilderness that a select few sailors call SEER School, or Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. We'll also bring you a story about a few sailors who participated in this year's Warrior Games in Colorado. For the All Hands television team, I'm Petty Officer Mark Schultz. Thanks for watching.